What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/Choosing Beggars. In today's first story, a homeless choosing beggar tries to get some free headphones off of a passerby. But before we jump into that one, if you aren't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. It is completely free if you didn't know, and I'm trying to hit 600,000 by the end of 2020. It's going to be very, very close, but any support would be greatly appreciated. So hit that button, it's on screen right now, and click the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video, twice every day. All right, let's get into the story. A homeless beggar wants my headphones, but doesn't have a phone to use them. This is not as interesting as some stories I've seen here, but this just happened to me, so I thought it would be nice to share. I was just walking my dog back home with my wireless headphones on when I hear someone calling me and walking in my direction. As I'm a bit socially anxious and hate talking to strangers, I pretend I'm not listening to her, until she taps my shoulder and I'm forced to turn around. It was clearly a homeless woman that I remember had bought some hygiene items from us a few months ago. I was expecting for her to ask for them again, but instead of this, she started to say that what she was going to ask for could make me get mad and call her names, etc, etc. But her birthday was in 2 weeks, she'd never received a present in her life, and some other stuff I couldn't understand well about loving headphones and pointing at random places. She couldn't stop talking. Then she asked me if I could donate my headphones to her. I got very confused, but after a few seconds, I told her no, that they were my birthday present too, which is true. When she started insisting, I put my headphones on again and continued to walk. I don't know if I did the right or wrong thing, but one, I remember the seller from the pharmacy telling me this woman asked her to buy other hygiene products like 10 times a day in order to sell them on to other homeless people and then buy drugs. And two, I came back home thinking, why would she want my headphones so bad if she doesn't even have a phone to use them with? Yeah, to be fair, you could be right here, OP. If she has a history of selling things on to other homeless people, to fund her drug addiction, then she's probably going to do the same thing with your headphones if she had the chance. But I'm not going to go in on her because she's homeless, The choosing beggars that I actually want to go in on are those that are doing it even when they have the money to be able to, buy the things. They're just being really cheap about it. Going in on a homeless person? Nah, I'm not going to do that. Let's move on. Now moving on to our next post. Lady needs a discount. I got my first proper choosing beggar at work today. We've had a couple people get cranky at us about prices before, but this lady was the first person to display the level of sheer bullheadedness that I feel really defines a choosing beggar. She came in around 1 o'clock, slowly lumbering through the bakery, picking up and squinting at every product she could get her acrylics on. Her sights were finally set upon our decorated cookies. She asked how much they were, and I told her $4. The look on her face as she heard the price told me all I needed to know. This was about to be trouble. $4? She balked. That's ridiculous. I gave her the canned response we have about the fact that our ingredients are expensive because they're speciality, so it is what it is. She scoffed and rolled her eyes at me, and I just mentally thanked my insomnia for having kept me up late enough last night that I was too exhausted to feel the sort of rage that stuff would usually have set off within me. She scoured through the cookie display, digging about in scornful silence, before suddenly her eyes lit up and she seized a single cookie from the back of the display, strutting up to the counter triumphantly and smacking it down before me. "This cookie is broken," she proclaimed, and she was right. There was a big crack running right through the middle of it. Not a big deal, it happens sometimes. Wait, I'm sorry, she just slammed it down into the counter. Could that not have been it? "Oh, sorry about that," I said. Not actually sorry. "I can get you another one." "No," she barked, cutting me off. "I want this one," she said, pointing at the broken cookie, the way one would point to something they were trying to show a toddler. "Okay then," I replied, and by this point I had a sneaking suspicion that I already knew exactly where this was going, but I pressed on anyways, as there was nothing else to be done. "That will be $4, I said. She stared at me for a moment, her eyes narrowing before she pointed to the cookie again. "I said I want this one," she repeated, even slower this time, really laying on thick the fact that she clearly thought I was some degree of stupid. "Yes, I know," I said, because what the heck else was I gonna say? "But this one is broken," she stressed, raising an eyebrow at me. "As I said, I can get you another one if you want. One that isn't broken," I replied, a bit of anger finally starting to break through the dull haze that exhaustion had put me under. And I said I wanted this one, she said, clearly getting frustrated. That makes 2 of us, you dog. Alright, that'll be $4. You can put your cut. She freaking cut me off again. I'm not paying $4 for a broken cookie, she snapped. Okay then, I'll get you a different one, I droned. I knew dang well what she was getting at, but I wasn't about to make it easy on her. No, she yelled, kind of getting up in my face at this point. I want this cookie. She jabbed it so hard, she would have made another crack if one hadn't been there already. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, I said flatly. I can take your card whenever you're ready. How much are you taking off? She demanded. By this point, I'd had more than enough of her, and since playing dumb was really the only weapon I had at my disposal that wouldn't have gotten me fired, I decided to continue using it. I'm sorry? I asked, pretending to be confused. Oh, but... She cut herself off that time, huffing. Oh, the cookie! How much are you taking off on the cookie? I haven't taken anything off, I answered. It's $4. But it's broken! She stressed for what felt like the 768th goddamn time. Can't I get some sort of discount? Unfortunately, no, I replied, very much not meaning that first word. If it's being broken is an issue, then we could get you an unbroken one, but I know you said you want this one. Is there someone else I could talk to? She asked, her tone suddenly dripping with the faux politeness of a Karen about to try something. A manager, perhaps? She stressed the word, raising an eyebrow at me as she did. The attempt at a threat was so galingly obvious that I just about gave myself an aneurysm trying not to roll my eyes. My manager isn't in today, sorry, I responded, making sure to use that same sickly sweet tone that she tried on me. She dropped the act quickly, her fake smile melting into a snarl as she realized her trump card had no effect. I'm not paying $4 for a cookie, she screeched. She didn't actually stomp her foot like a toddler, but the energy was very much the same. Okay, I said flatly, then very pointedly didn't say anything else, even as she stared at me, clearly still somehow hoping for a different answer. We stood there for several more seconds. She glared at me. I stared blankly over her shoulder at the bakery behind, with perhaps a bit over-the-top expression of utter indifference on my face. Finally, she seemed to realize I genuinely wasn't gonna budge, and with one last she rolled her eyes, tossed up her hands, and stormed out. I put the broken cookie back on the toss tray where it was quickly snagged by one of our decorators. Suck it, Karen. You see, this is more like it. This is what I meant at the end of the last story when I said I don't want to go in on a homeless person because maybe they can't help it. In this situation, it's $4. Like, you can have $4 for a cookie, or you just don't buy it. Pretty simple stuff, eh? If it's too expensive for you, fair enough, $4 could be seen as a lot for a cookie, then just don't get it. Go and get something else cheaper. You're in a supermarket, I think, so there's going to be cheaper stuff than $4. You know, you can probably just get some, like, cheap biscuits for, I don't know, 50 cents or something. Not everything has to be $4. However, don't try and, pressurize this poor woman, poor OP, into giving you something than cheaper than what it really costs by bullying them. It's just no need for that. Either it's $4 or, just don't buy it. It's pretty simple. There's no need to go over the top like this and start screeching. I kind of wish, to be honest, that OP's manager was there, or at least some security to get her out of the shop, because what a nuisance, man. Oh, Jesus. Now moving on to our next story. The tragic tale of the cake lady. I posted not too long ago about the woman who blew up at me over not getting a discount on a crack cookie. Oh, did you? I would never have known. At the time, that was the most dramatic Choosing Beggar incident I'd ever had the displeasure of experiencing in person. I had thought it would remain that way. On Friday evening, I was proven woefully wrong. Here we go. Several days before, we had gotten a call from a lady wanting to order a custom cake and cupcakes. My co-worker Emma answered. It started out standard enough, but the lady quickly proved to be difficult. She had a million super complicated questions and got extremely aggravated at being put on hold so Emma could go and get the answers. After about 45 minutes, she snapped, screaming into the phone that she was sick of this and demanded to speak to a supervisor, or at least someone who actually knows what the frick they're doing. Emma was holding back tears, but passed the phone to our manager. Our manager then spent 2 freaking hours on the phone with this woman, who continued to be a problem. She was extremely vague, telling my manager to just make it look nice, and then getting huffy when asked for specifics on what she actually wanted. My manager could tell something was up, and insisted upon going over every little detail for confirmation with this woman. Finally, they settled on a design and the order was placed, and for about a week, that was that. Friday night, 15 minutes before we close, over 5 hours after her scheduled pickup time, mind you, the lady from the phone walks in. She looks surprisingly normal, apart from the glare in her eyes, and we went to go and retrieve her order. As I'm certain you've all guessed by now, she had complaints. Many complaints. The shade of blue on the cupcakes was wrong. The frosting edges weren't smooth. The centerpiece on the cake was in the center when she'd wanted it slightly off-center. She'd wanted the entire cake dyed pink, not just the frosting, blah 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 blah. Basically everything was wrong. Even though everything was exactly what she'd agreed upon at the time, my manager had made sure of it. And this was an outrage. She wanted her money back. My manager wasn't there at the time. The owner, however, was. She called the manager and went over everything again, the manager confirming that yes, everything was what they'd agreed on, and this lady was blatantly false in claiming otherwise. Here's where you probably expect a victory. A glorious telling off of the choosing beggar who leaves in a rage as the employees all celebrate, the evil defeated. I know I certainly did. I mean, I wasn't actually expecting the owner to take this lady down or anything. I kept my expectations realistic. But the owner had said before that this business took great pride in not allowing its employees to be mistreated and would refuse to do business with abusive people. This lady fit that description to a T. So I thought the owner would refuse her demands and tell her to go away, as I'd been told was the way we do things. But no. Instead, I watched with a dismayed sort of disgust as the owner gave this dog a $50 refund and apologized for it not having been what she wanted. Never mind the fact that we all knew she was lying, never mind the fact that she'd been absolutely horrible to the employees, which was supposed to be a big no-no. Never mind the fact that this was clearly exactly what she'd wanted the entire time. I know it's naive of me, but I felt a bit betrayed, I suppose. I'd been promised that this place wasn't like others, that the employees were valued and would be defended, that butthole customers were not welcome and would not be tolerated, and then I could do nothing but stand there and watch as a woman who'd left my co-worker in tears and made all of our lives a collective hell was rewarded for her behaviour. She's going to do it again, if not to us, then to some other poor workers, because my boss just effectively reinforced that being a colossal female dog is how to get what she wants. I know people here like to have happy or triumphant endings, but there isn't one. This lady was a huge choosing beggar, nitpicked everything, made unrealistic demands, demanded it for ridiculous discounts, and got what she wanted. And I'm just furious. I know some will say this doesn't count as a choosing beggar story, and maybe not, but I thought it fit the parameters, and I needed to get it off my chest. Well, OP, there is no doubt in my mind that this definitely was a choosing beggar story, and a very interesting one at that. I mean, usually you're right, we do tend to see triumphant victories of employees or whatever, people selling stuff, getting one over a choosing beggar. But in this situation, I just don't understand what your manager's doing, or indeed the owner. I know in, service shops or, when you're serving a customer, the customer is always right, traditionally. But how far do you go? This just seems like way too much in my opinion, right? It's very clear, as you've even said yourself, that she was doing this. She wanted this from the very outset, She was on purpose not giving you complete details on what she wanted, in the hope in the back of her mind, of course, this was all pre-planned, that she would come in and say, this isn't what I asked for. That is why what your manager did in, going through every single detail for hours was great, and is exactly what you needed to do in that situation in order to ensure that something like this didn't happen. So, all I can say is that your owner is extremely weak-minded and was probably just like, you know what, I can't even be bothered to deal with this, let's just give this woman $50 and get this done with. Which is not the right way to go about this. Completely what you said, OP, I agree with. It goes against the values of the very company that you chose to work for those very reasons. So I'd be really betrayed if I were you. I'd be really disappointed in my owner and the company as a whole if those are the principles that they want to do business with. It's a shame. It is a real shame that choosing beggar did not get shut up, chucked out the store for life, arrested, and beheaded. That's what I would have done. All right, let's go to the outro. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you're a fan of beheading Choosing Beggars, drop a like on this video. And if you're not, then also drop a like. If you want more, watch that. If you don't want more, click off this video. And if you want to subscribe, click here. And get this merch as well. All right, bye.